you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Christine Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers. I want to ask you a very simple, direct question today. So simple, in fact, that the listener here, you, our audience, might just go right past it and say it's rhetorical. My friends, slow down. It is not. And how you answer this and what you decide to do from here will totally change the output and the results that you're living with. So are you ready? Today's question in today's episode, I want to ask you, do you want to create commercial success with your business? Is the goal to be making sales, revenue? I need you to really answer that question. Because some people say, I just want a business. And I say, well, what's the purpose of the business? And they're like, I don't know how to have a business. I'm like, no, businesses exist for one reason, revenue. Not all businesses exist for profit. Not all businesses have profit. But to create an enduring success story, we need to start with this. Is this your goal? Commercial success. Because if the answer is no, you have a hobby. And that's totally cool, but we need to be crystal clear about that reality. Because commercial success requires a whole different arena, a whole different toolkit, and a whole different level of conversation. So if you're going to continue to listen to this episode, I know you are saying, yeah, I want commercial success. So then let me ask you this. What's the evidence that that is truly what your goal is? And how is it supported in your day-to-day actions? This is Amplify Your Marketing Message. I'm your host, Christine Campbell Rapin, and I am a mentor who helps people create commercial success repeatably, predictably, and frequently. And the reason I want to ask you this question is because it's not a given, and I don't think we have ever sat and had a very black and white conversation around it, and that's overdue. I'm part of an incredible community that I've been a member of. It's not a business community, but there are a lot of business owners in it. And I've watched business owners struggle, go from session to session, from learning to learning to learning to learning. And I'm watching nobody make money. And it was heartbreaking. And it continues to challenge me because I keep wanting to say, wake up! What are you doing? Is this what you want? And then if so, you suck at it. Let's get that fixed. But I don't go where I'm uninvited. And I was not invited to have that reality, even though that's the soundtrack in my head. Until I was asked to tackle that address right on the head. Community owner came to me and said, we have a lot of business owners in this community. I said, yes, I know. He said, I'm watching a lot of them go broke. I said, me too. And he said, we need to help. I said, agreed. And he said, I want it to be you. And I said, say what? I said, no, seriously, you've got so many great people to help in this community. He said, I think you're best in class at what you do. Support the emerging entrepreneurs to create commercial success. And I think you will lead it with compassion, honesty, direct feedback, and it's needed. So I started the session with the question I started today's episode with. Do you want to create commercial success? And I will tell you the interesting thing, which was a tell. So many people said, what do you mean by that? And I said, okay, let me bring down the language. Do you want to make money? Do you want to make sales? And people were like, oh, okay, light bulb. I got what she was asking. And we had this filter of yes, 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 yes. I said, okay. Well, then you're in the right room because I was asked here to help you build your sales. But before I can do that, I want to ask a second question. What's the evidence that you're focused on commercial success in your business? And again, they're like, what do you mean by that? I said, no, it's a very simple question. What's the evidence of your focus? And some people said, well, I showed up for this session. Some people said, I've hired somebody to bring me leads. Some people said, I don't have any evidence. And I said, okay, guys, let's be honest. The reason this is a hard question to answer is there's not rock solid evidence that you're focused on commercial success. You're playing at the game of business. And yet that's not what you set out for. You set out for commercial success. And I watched the light bulb turn on, and I watched a whole bunch of people drop their gaze with me. And I said, guys, if there's no evidence in the rearview mirror, today's the perfect day to create the evidence and start solving the problem of commercial success. So there's no judgment, no shame, but today is the day to move. And I want to invite you to do the same. Every business must solve 3 problems to create commercial success. And personally, I don't want just commercial success once. I want commercial success over and over and over again. I love 2 truths. I write my own paycheck. I choose my speed. I want that for you. But because I write my own paycheck and I choose my own speed, I know what to focus on. And let's just be crystal clear, and I'll be completely transparent. I suck sometimes at this, the follow through of staying focused on commercial priorities, which is why I have a hired mentor, a businessman who has a 9-figure business, who mentors me. And the number one thing he says to me most often, what do your numbers tell you? I'm not your shrink. I'm not your therapist. I'm your business coach. What do your numbers tell you? What's the evidence that you're focused on this? How many leads did you get last week? How many offers did you make? How many sales have you got? How many decisions? Christine, this is math. Take your total revenue, divide it by the months or the goal period, which is a rolling 12 to 18 months. How many offers do you need to make? How many people do you need to be in front of? Do the math. What are you working on? And I'll be like, well, I was writing a chapter in a book, or I was on a podcast, or I was speaking at an event. And he's like, those are luxury items you haven't paid for. Stop it. Go back to the foundations, work the phone, talk to the leads, go do the 2 things that predict your revenue. And if you do not, you don't get the luxury rewards. You don't get the play. You don't get time off. As a CEO, you're a bad employee, Christine. And every time he says this, it's like, ooh, well, that's true. And only I can change it. And I can change it by 1 of 2 ways. If I'm bootstrapping or it's a lean season, I do the work. Put my head down and do the work. If things are moving in bigger momentum, I think about how can I hire somebody to do the work. But let's be clear, offers in my business right now always come from me. I make every offer for our high-level programs. You get invited in. You don't get to access it on your own. Our lower level programs with faster, smaller wins, you can buy the programs on our website. But the high-level stuff, I am in control of that. I choose my clients. But I do the work. I hire somebody to help me because I know that this is true. If you want to create commercial success, there's only 3 things every business must solve. And you must solve the problem immediately in front of you. I will tell you all 3 create stability. If you don't yet have stability, chances are you need to solve 1 or more of these 3 things. And if things go off the rail or things become lumpy or inconsistent or that volatile, great seasons, no seasons, reliance on referrals, not enough of your own prospecting, all of this comes down to these 3 foundations. So here's what they are. Number 1, you must have leads, prospects, potential buyers, call it what you'd like, but people to talk to. If you don't have qualified people to talk to, everything else becomes impossible. You don't need an AI system. You don't need an ERP. You don't need a CRM. You don't need whatever acronym you like. Cart before the horse. You need leads. And here's what we also need to have a frank conversation around. Leads age badly. If you're in a traditional bricks and mortar business, if you do not answer the phone or respond within minutes of a phone call reaching out to you, you've lost the business. In social services and consulting, that pathway a little more forgiving, but it's remarkable how much businesses are lost because either one, you don't have a phone number, or two, you're not responsive to the lead that you had when someone put up their hand and said, help. Come on, we're sloppy. I'm sloppy. That's why I get my butt kicked by my business mentor. And I always say thank you. Because he doesn't tell me what I want to hear. He tells me what I need to hear to be better. And that's what I hope this episode is doing for you. So we must solve the quantity of leads. And this is something that is not seasonal. This is every season. Every month, we need leads. Every week, we need leads. Every day, we should be tracking leads. But let's be clear, I'm putting a giant asterisk. Not all leads are equal. If you're not talking to people who can afford you, have a known problem, and are interested in solving it, you're going to go broke. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be disappointed. And so qualifying leads and getting in front of the right people, non-negotiable. So number one, you have to solve leads. Every business always has a leads problem. Number two is once you have leads, you do not have a business. And this is a colossal mistake I see people make all the time. They think if I just solve the leads problem, they're going to trip over me with their credit card. It's going to shower money at me. And I'm like, who lives like that? Not most of us, let's be clear. So you actually have to talk about sales. And sales is the process of invitation. It's the process of nurturing trust, credibility, and capability to the point where someone says, tell me what you recommend for me specifically to get to the outcome I want, and how would you do it? What's that mean, simply put? The offer. An offer is, I will help you get to X result. This is the toll you must pay. This is the process. This is where you do the work to get to the outcome. We make a recommendation, we make an offer. But again, that doesn't mean anything if we don't have an outcome to that conversation. Every sales conversation should have a decision. And that decision is only one of two things. I will keep my problem today, I'll keep learning and not earning, or I will solve it. Which is going to be your decision today. So we have a lead. We've now invited them to a decision. We have clocked the decision. We then have to look at our systems. Systems are about two things: knowing what our standard is and holding it. And number two, showing the experience is predictable. And systems are about the first, client journey, and second, how we deliver to that client of tomorrow. And as we shift our businesses, if you want stability and you want predictably and you want this really awesome commercial success, I need you to write this down and keep this so front and center. Your number one responsibility isn't the client work. It's to look after the enduring commercial success of the business, which means your number one responsibility, whether you're doing the work or you're hiring for it, is to ensure the sales exist. Because sales equals headcount. And let's be clear, if you want a business that creates commercial success that not only creates revenue, but creates enough profit for you to take a salary, an income, or hire other people, your number one priority has to be the next client, not the current client. And I watch so many businesses get caught in this. And as I was sharing this very simple framework to this room, I said, you have to decide, are you committed to this? So I go back to the question, do you want commercial success? What's the evidence that you're solving your lead problem? What's the evidence you're focused on sales activity? What's the quantity? What's the outcome? Is there a standard? Do you know what it is? Do you communicate it? Do you live by it? And do you support it? What's the evidence? Because if you're listening right now, I want you to be asking yourself, not a rhetorical question here, a direct question. What problem do you need to solve right now? Knowing that all three product problems will compound to create an outcome that's predictable, but you can't solve all three, and there's a sequence that is important, and I said them in the sequence that matters. Leads come first. You can't sell who you don't have to talk to. You cannot communicate a standard if you don't have the lead. You can't have a system of how to support somebody if you never have them in the system to start with. But my friends, I see it so much right now in the marketplace. You're distracted doing all the things, but not focused on these three foundations. Not anymore. If you want to create commercial success, you have to pay the toll. You have to build the skills. You have to build the momentum. You have to be ruthless with your feedback. And I think, honestly, we would not be great doing this on our own. I started my business 5 years ago, just over 5 years ago. I incorporated 5 years ago, rather. And I had a lot of business skills when I started. I actually was in my corporate career. I worked in marketing, sales, and operations. So I had foundations. I knew what to do. I knew the sequence that mattered. And I was prepared to do them at a speed because I started as a side hustle. But even knowing what I knew, if I looked at that runway and I was honest about not what do I hope, but what can I achieve, I thought it'll take me 5 years to create commercial success. I didn't start thinking I would make money from month one. And if you think you're going to make money from day one without the skills, without the support, without solving these problems, wake up, buttercup, won't happen. So I thought to myself, well, how do I go from 5 years to maybe 2 years? Hear what I just said, friends. With support, paying a mentor, I still thought, even with business skills, it would take me 2 years to create commercial success. 2 years to have enough revenue that would be a multiple six-figure revenue line, so I had enough profit to take the salary I was replacing of corporate. 2 years. If you're not thinking you're going to make business in a nanosecond, also, I would just say, wake up, buttercup. It's not the norm. Is it possible? Sure. There's a probability. It's small. I expected to be bleeding for 2 years. So I thought, well, how do I condense that even further? I had the skills. I had the network. I had the drive. I was disciplined. I thought, I need somebody to hold me accountable. So I did hire my first mentor. I hired my first mentor when I had one client. They had business skills. What was their greatest skill set to me? Christine, do this next. They helped me triage priority. They helped me build things at the lead level. They knew I had good sales skills because I'd made billions of dollars for other people and said, use your skills for yourself. And I had a whole business for more than a year with clients and revenue and never a website. The website wasn't necessary. The business cards, the logo wasn't necessary. Guys, I think so many of you are hiding in this fake business world without any realistic expectations of what it takes. I thought it would take me 5 years. I wanted to reduce it to 2 and then less than 2. I hired and have continued to hire a mentor who reminds me not just to do the work, that is important. Absolutely, I need it regularly. But Christine, if you want a result, you must be an A player. And as you think about your business right now, business owners are a wild breed. My peers, people I share this space with. You're carrying 100% responsibility for your business. You're 100% responsible for solving these 3 problems. You're 100% responsible for staying in the game or quitting the field. But I want to ask you this. If you are committed to commercial success, what problem do you need to solve today? And who do you know who could be at your bench to help you be accountable, develop the skills, and make it happen? No more excuses. Because you're never going to feel safe enough to take the risks, and you need to get out of the learning mode and get into earning mode. I don't see those as either or. I am immediately applying the feedback I get from my mentors, and they expect that of me. And as a result, people will say, I move fast. And to me, where I'm sitting, I know there's still more gears in the gearbox. I'm not going the fastest I can. And I know I need to hold myself to a higher standard. But because my standard wobbles, I hire mentors. And I want you to think about this. Have an expectation to win. But if you have an expectation to win, think this. How are you setting yourself up for success? Business growth is elegantly simple. It's not effortless. Number one question you have to be sure of, is this a commercial enterprise? Do I want revenue? If you want revenue, then you must solve the 3 problems of business. And I will tell you this, if you're responsible for the outcomes, then you should be sure as heck making enough sales that there's profit to pay yourself really well for that burden. I love writing my own paycheck. I love focusing on serving and winning with business owners. I do it because I love it. It's a bonus. I get well paid for it. My friends, if we've not had a conversation before, my name is Christine Campbell Rapin. Let me help you solve that problem you're facing. ChristineCampbellRapin.com. Come find me. And let's accelerate your results to an even higher level. Because right now in the marketplace, somebody is buying what you are offering. Let's make sure it's you. See you on our next episode. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit ChristineCampbellRapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you on